Yo, what up, street dogs there? Kim, alright, the thought. All beta everything. So it's just kind of realizing that everything in life is always in beta. Beta is always being like in a process of becoming. You never step into the same river twice, Heraclitus. Perfection doesn't exist and everything's a process. And it's about constant iteration, development, self-growth, and delighting in the whole beta process. So in praise of tinkering, bricolage as the French call it, trial and error. And it seems like this is actually a much more robust way to live and approach things. So Ars Beta, ARSBETA.com is the startup I created with my buddies. And the basic gist of ARS, it stands for art in Latin. And beta, BETA, like beta testing, us tech nerds should know this. So the basic notion behind arsbeta.com is your artwork is always in beta testing mode. And to me, this is such an optimistic, positive way of seeing things because it means that there's no finality to whatever you do, whatever you create. And you're always kind of tinkering, you're kind of fudging, you're always kind of like fucking with shit. And you're just trying to always make it a little bit better. So it's kind of more towards like the whole like Steve Jobs, like Kaizen, kind of more the Japanese approach where it's like constant iteration, constant improvement. And there's never going to be a perfect iPhone, never going to be a perfect MacBook or whatever. And the exact joy of all of this is the fact that we actually have the privilege to constantly be testing ourselves, and testing the world. And I really like this notion because the problem in America is like we just focus too much on perfection, and perfection doesn't exist. I think good, great exist, and if perfection did exist, what reason do we have to keep living? And so certainly it seems like in life to constantly be iterating and developing is the goal. So my friend Ryan from Backyard Brew, it's a coffee joint, not a brewery, from Backyard Brew in Palo Alto. I'm actually quite certain he's the one who invented the notion of MVP, minimal viable product, and I think some like tech bro probably stole his idea and kind of, made some bucks off of it. But Ryan explained the notion of MVP to me quite eloquently. Is this, just you don't have to worry about making something perfect. Just kind of put something out there and then based on the feedback and then the performance in the real world, keep iterating. And the reason why I think Ryan is a real entrepreneur is that he was able to build his business, no venture capital, whatevers, and he was able to do it super duper scrappy. And so like for me in my life too, I kind of aspire towards entrepreneurship style of Ryan as well, where I'm not going to make no more excuses for myself, do it scrappy and bootstrapping it, and like channeling my inner resources. So if you think about yourself, your life, your business, everything always in beta testing mode, it is to me the ultimate optimistic thought because it means that you always have something to look forward to. You always have something to look forward to, you have something to aspire towards. And once again, perfection ain't the goal. It's always to just kind of keep moving forward. And so some quotes I like, one is from the OG pre-Socratic philosopher Heraclitus. You never step in the same river twice, or better yet, the rolling stone gathers no moss. So you are the stone. As long as you keep rolling, you're not going to get any moss. You're not going to become stagnant. And I think this is where water and kind of the notion of a stream is also good too, because stagnant water stays in the same pool and it doesn't flow. As long as you keep flowing, and you don't let yourself become kind of obscured or obstructed, and water always finds a way. No matter what, water will always find a way. And so the delight is then to not only adapt yourself to the situation, but water is also good because water is strong. Water could break through any sort of boundaries. Water is ruthless. Water could constantly like slowly chip away at something, and water could come in all different forms and shapes, right? It could be a hurricane, it could just be a stream, and it'll, you know, it's the ultimate form. So this is where the Bruce Lee's notion of be water is actually pretty good. I would say rather than be water, like maybe act like water or find inspiration from water. Yeah, so taking it back to beta testing mode, like people, all these people who are like quote unquote perfectionists, the notion of a perfectionist is that, you know, it comes from like, probably comes from like Puritan Protestant morality, where it's like somehow you're defective and the only way you could kind of repent is to improve yourself. Also, communist methodology comes from this too. Like if you think about Mao Zedong, and then they would constantly do the self-critique movements. The basic notion is you gotta always gotta kind of improve yourself, or else you have no self-worth. Now, I am of the opinion that you are already great and perfect the way you are, and the goal of life isn't to become like better. Like self-improvement is stupid because it infers that you're somehow defective. And the reason I don't trust none of these dudes on the internet and so forth is that all these guys end up becoming essentially closet Christians, so they put too much Christian morality into everything, or, you know, they have once themselves, you know, I mean, like, I don't want to be it's kind of tricky, right? So like a lot of people who become influential thinkers and bloggers and vloggers and podcasters have once in their lives had extremely low self-esteem and stuff like that. And so, you know, while their thinking is very important, the downside is their philosophies are not coming from a place of abundance. It's kind of like what Nietzsche says, it's kind of coming from a position of need. And this is how he defines romanticism. Romanticism or romantics, essentially what they do is, you know, they create not out of abundance but out of need. And so their artwork or the aesthetics behind it, it's actually not empowering and positive. Rather, it's kind of negative and kind of soul-sucking, whatever it may be. So this is why I don't trust no artist who, you know, relies too much on like drugs or weed or any of that kind of stuff to make the artwork, because they're essentially creating artwork that comes from kind of like maybe mental or physiological defects or deficiencies. So, you know, you know, as much as I love Future, you know, the artwork where he's just like super high on whatever he's on, probably not a good thing. So probably better to trust more sober artists. Even like Jay-Z, I think all he does is drink and smoke a little weed here and there, but he's not really a drunk. We shouldn't, and also trust the word of like Kendrick Lamar. He's pretty sober. I think his only vice is he likes to eat Cheerios he likes to eat like, you know, Cap'n Crunch or Fruity Pebbles at like 12 in the morning. But yeah, let us kind of aspire more towards creating art out of a sense of uber abundance. Know that your artwork is always in beta testing mode. You know, focus on self-development, because to always develop and always be in a state of becoming is good, but not be self-improvement, because you got nothing, you got to improve.